Not only did I gain new perspective in buying my own, but I gained new perspective over this last year watching clients that I had sold property to before, right? I got them into their house, no money down. You know, it was like a shift. Now it's time for them to sell, right? So we seen it full cycle, right? A lot of those people, I sold their house last year, right? But I also helped them get into it. And I watched them walk away from closing with 6 figures.
Wow.
I'm talking about in 3 years.
Wow.
3 years. So if you spent no money getting into that house, none, you made a check when you bought it. And then 3 years later, you made $126,000. How would you feel? What could you do with it? What can you do with $126,000?
Right.
A lot.
Right.
A lot. You can flip that money 3, 4, 5 times maybe. You know? Then what?
Without black, there cannot be anything else.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Black and Abundant podcast, where we talk all things personal development, and we are bringing to you information, resources, and people that got results out here that's showcasing abundance. And we are going to bring to you a great conversation with the goal of you taking what we talk about and you elevating your life. That's the goal of our podcast, pretty much. And we have a very special guest in the building today.
Woo!
That's changing the game out here. Magan Battle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all.
For sure. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so excited to dive into this podcast because I'm ready to be a student.
Yeah.
Learn a lot from you. And
learn a lot from y'all.
Yeah,
we learn
sure.
from each other.
Yeah. And I was talking before the podcast that like we've only had maybe a couple of interactions, but it feels like we've been knowing each other for a very long time. And that's how you know when you're around good people and the energy just aligns and it's good connection. So
kindred spirits.
For sure. And that's success to me when it comes to relationships. You know what I'm saying? So that's very important.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and dive into this thing. Introduce yourself to the people.
I am Magan Battle. I am a real estate consultant.
All right.
I have been in the business for about 7 years. I love what I do. I love helping people. Love seeing my community thrive, and I'm here to drop the gems.
Yeah, that's what's up. So 7 years in the game.
Yeah, 7 years in the game.
Man, you got some skin in the game. That's a long time.
Long time.
All right. Let's start with the beginning. So where are you from?
Well, it's hard to answer that question.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really hard to answer that question. I'm mainly from Birmingham, but at the same time, my dad's side is from Columbiana. So it's like
Columbiana.
Yeah, so the hood in the country.
Gotcha.
So I pretty much went back and forth my whole life. So half of my life I was in the country, half of my life I was in Birmingham. So yeah, I'm from both places.
So like Columbiana out.
Yeah, like past Calera.
Okay.
Yeah, like Egg and Butter Road.
Gotcha. What was life like for you coming up?
We grew up poor. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just keeping it real. Like we didn't, we had what we needed for the most part, right? But at the same time, like I remember like growing up at times without water, without lights, not knowing how we're going to eat, we had more of those nights than, I can keep count of,
wow.
But, it wasn't all bad. You make do. And I think it also creates, I think that's what creates the grind in us. Sometimes you don't want to go through those experiences when you dealing with it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, that's what makes you though. You know what I'm saying? Like, would you be as hungry if you didn't go through that?
Right.
But I think for me, it's like, I watched my parents struggle and then I was like, man, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to have to go through this. I don't want my nephew to go. I don't want my niece. Like, I don't want any of my bloodline, this lineage, it stopped with me.
Right.
We're not keeping this going. That poverty is ending here. we're not keeping it going.
Wow, wow. So, and I was going to ask that, do you feel like those experiences coming up as a child is what, to this day still inspire you to want to go hard?
Oh yeah.
Because I saw where you got an award, right? For being, correct me if I'm wrong, you're top 5 in your brokerage, right? Top 5 real estate agent, right? Mm-hmm. That's different.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Top 5 out of 400, right?
Yeah, it's like 440, 430, something like that, yeah.
Dang. Top 5. Think about that. Top 5.
I know, right? Crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's how I feel. It's like, wow, this is for real.
That's amazing. I really want to dive into that. I want to start with some mindset. So talk about how did you get there? How did Magan Battle get to top 5? Also being, a black woman being in top 5. Yeah. That's different.
Yeah, it's a journey. I think that, that's the thing that I think with social media is that's the thing that I kind of hate about social media. It's like people see the end and they don't really understand the full journey. So I love explaining the journey because to me, there's so much beauty in that whole process. One of my favorite books is The Alchemist, and it's mainly because of that. That journey is everything. You learn so much along the way, and it's I wouldn't know this without that, So for me, when I started, I actually missed my scholarship deadline. That's how I got into real estate. Okay, so I was 21 at the time. So, hold on.
No, you good.
Did y'all? Oh, okay.
It happened.
Oh, okay, man. I didn't know if I needed to pause or what.
No, it does that from time to time.
Okay, cool. I'm ready to bait them. All right, so for me, I got into the business when I was 21. And so at that time, I was probably the youngest in my office, for one. And the main reason why I got into real estate was because I missed my scholarship deadline. So I initially went to UAH, and then my first year, it was super expensive. And I had scholarship, everything. And it was just crazy expensive. And like I told y'all, my family did not have the money to just pay for my school or whatever. They okay, you got this Pell Grant, you got the scholarship. That's all we got. That's it, right? And so after that first year, even with me work, I could have worked and tried to, still pay for and do this and that, rack up the student loans. But I was like, I don't know what to do, And I remember my folks were like, you should come back home and go to Lawson. And I was like, come back home and go to Lawson? I graduated from Winona.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's Winona College.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. And I remember one of my friends calling me, and she was like, if you go to Lawson and you dance, they'll pay full tuition. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going.
Wow.
I'm on my way.
So was dancing something that you did?
Yeah, I danced in high school too.
Okay.
Yeah, and we don't know. So when she said that, I was like, and we danced together. So that's why she was like, come on, Megan, you know what I'm saying? Get this money, right?
Right. Hey, shout out.
And I was like, shout out to Lex. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. So I came back and started dancing for Lawson, got the money. I was able to rack up, you know what I'm saying? I got the Pell Grant and I got scholarship. So I was able to take, the Pell Grant, pay my rent up. I mean, I was living okay. I was all right. But after that, it was time for me to graduate from Lawson. All right, so boom. It's time for me to also transfer, though, right? Because I'm finishing with my associates, but my plan was to transfer to UAB and get my scholarship, to UAB with the bridge program. So at that time, though, I'm dancing. I'm part of the student government. I'm working full time. I'm doing all this stuff at one time. And I realized that I missed my scholarship deadline, thinking they were due the day they were actually giving them out. Day they giving them out. I'm thinking, I'm finna submit my application. I'm good.
Yeah.
No. And if you know anything about UAB, at that time, they were only giving out scholarships in the fall. So it would have been a whole year before I could even apply for the scholarship again. Keep in mind, that was my whole issue from the jump at UAH. So I'm like, what I'm finna do now, Lord? This the whole year that I'm finna be out of school. I'm not a sit back, do nothing type of girl. Like, what am I finna do? You know? And I was really praying and asking God, like, what do you want me to do during this season? Because obviously me and you, we're not on the same page. Yeah. It's like, we ain't on the same page right now. I need to know, like, what is it that you got planned? Because I'm a little confused right now, you know?
Yeah.
And when I prayed that prayer, it was like I was seeing real estate everywhere. I'm talking about, like, everywhere. I would be at the gas station. You know, the little, you know, they have, like, little TVs at the gas station.
You're
sometimes
right.
play commercials and stuff. It would be like, are you interested in getting into real estate? Or HGTV commercials?
Yeah.
Or I'm at the doctor's office and it's on the TV. I mean, it was like everywhere I went, it was like real estate. And I'm like, okay, you want me to flip houses? Like, I was like, what is it that you want me to do? And I initially thought that God only wanted me to get into real estate to invest. I thought that was my initial, like, oh, I'm supposed to flip houses. That's what I'm supposed to do. The Lord done showed me. I just knew. The only reason why I even decided to get my license was because I knew I would have access to more. So I was like, oh, if I get my license, I'll have access to the MLS. I can see all the properties. I'm going to get my license because of that. Then I started taking the classes. When I started taking the classes, I was listening and they were talking about all this different stuff that you could do with your license. And I was like, well, maybe I can make some money there. Yeah. I was like, maybe I can, you know, build up my capital and then go from there. But I still, my mindset was still on making money. I had not developed any sort of passion or anything. That's why I think, like, sometimes people would be like, how did you become so passionate? I'm like, I didn't start that way. I started focused on making my coins, right? And so I remember I passed my exam. I took it. Boom. I passed the first time. I made a 77. And I remember being like, that's the Lord number, first of all. I was like, that's the Lord number. And I had a dream that I passed it right before I passed it. I had a dream that I passed it. And it was almost like I was at the, you know, like the steps in Rocky, the movie. Yeah. It was like I was at the bottom of the steps and God was at the top of the steps and I couldn't see God's face, but it was like this light shining and I couldn't see his face, but he was like motioning for me to come up the steps. And that was the end of the dream. So I was like, oh, I'm a pass. Wow. I was like, he telling me to come up higher. I'm for the pass, right? So boom, passed my test and it's like my first week in real estate or whatever. And I initially joined the team because I felt like, you know, that'll give me a chance to kind of build my business and learn and grow. And the way they explained it to me, they were like, if you make this many calls, you'll get this many closings. So I was like, you telling me if I call this many people, I'm going to get this much business? And I was already coming from a phones background because I was already used to doing customer service. So I'm like, I don't mind talking to people on the phone. Like that's nothing to me. So I'm like, and then like, yeah, we have all these people that need houses. It's just nobody wants to call them. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I was so confused. I was like, I literally was baffled. Like, I was so lost by it. I'm like, y'all got to be playing. Like, all I got to do is call them. That's what you're telling me. I just got to call them. So I joined the team because of that. And literally that first week, I had somebody call me and he said, I already know what house I want. Can I come in and meet you? And I was like, yeah. When you want to come? Wow. So he comes in. He said, I found a house on Zillow. Keep in mind, y'all, just so you know, Zillow is trash, okay?
Really?
Bottom line, Zillow is super trash. Like, when I say super trash, and, you know, if anybody later watches this in live from Zillow, don't hold it against me, but I'm just being real. Like, y'all need to get your platform together. But the bottom line is they do not keep up with accurate information. It's like the Wikipedia of real estate. I mean, agents can edit information. It's just, it ain't good. So you may see a property on Zillow. It's like, oh my God, it just hit the market. Gone 6 months ago. All right. It's been gone. And this is what this man's situation was. He's like, I know exactly what house I want. I'm like, okay. I'm turned up. I'm like, yes. I pull up the house. House been sold months ago.
Dang.
Months ago. He devastated though. Tears in his eyes, devastated. Me, confused
Yeah.
on what to do. I'm talking about he finna cry. And I'm like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And he goes on to tell me like his story, right? And he's like, man, I gotta get a house. Like my daughter, she in the 9th grade. Like she's finna have a baby. We're in a hard living situation right now. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do. And before I knew it, the Holy Spirit really had me ministering to this man. And I know it wasn't me because I'm talking about, I'm quoting scriptures I didn't even know I knew. You know what I'm saying? Like, and accurately. Like, without even knowing. You get what I'm saying? And then at the end, he said, you make me feel so much better. You make me want to go back to church. And I was like, wow. And it was like a light bulb for me because I realized in that moment, oh, this is why everything has happened. This why you let me miss my scholarship deadline. This why you brought me back to the house. This is why. And it made so much sense to me. And then from there, it happened over and over and over again to the point where, like, in my office, they would be like, man, you bring your tissues into your appointment? Because people would be breaking down in my office crying. And I'm not even doing anything. Like, I'm literally not doing anything. I'm just having a normal conversation with them. And people just open up. You know what I'm saying? And it's not nothing that I'm not prying. You know what I'm saying? I'm just having a regular conversation. But people just open up to me. And when they do, the Lord used me and I don't stop it. Yeah. Just let God, you know what I'm saying, use me where he see fit. And then it got to a point where people was like, the Lord sent me to you. And I was like, what is happening to me? Man. It still happens to this day. Probably like literally every other week. Mm-hmm. Every other week, somebody is like, the Lord sent me to you. Real talk. And it's crazy to me because I'm like, why is he sending y'all to me? Wow. I mean, I know why he's sending y'all to me, but that's a heavy responsibility for it to be coming so consistently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how it started. And from there, you know, I understood the responsibility that God placed on me, right, to help them. And I just put that above everything else. And then I started establishing that reputation, like, you know, even though in the beginning, right, I was like, man, I'm gonna get my coins. Like, yeah. As you grow and as you meet people and you see their stories and you listening to them and you're watching their life unfold, right? It's like you've developed a whole different type of relationship now. Now it's like I'm invested in you winning. You know what I'm saying? I'm invested in watching you succeed. You know, and so it just created a whole different level of service because it allowed me to go above and beyond because I understood the assignment. Like, I got to please my Father first. Mm-hmm. And in pleasing him, you're going to be happy too. Wow. And then you're going to refer other people to me. And then they going to refer people to me. And then they going to refer, you know, I think too often people focus on short-term greed and they miss out on long-term wealth just from doing right by people. Wow. I've let go of so much money to help my clients. And it came back to me tenfold. Like, wow. Every time. And that's how it started. And that even during the like, rates was, you know, great, right? But competition was crazy. I was buying home warranties for all my clients. I'm like, all right, I'm going to pay for your warranty then. We can't get them to pay for it. We can't get it covered. I'll pay for it because I know it's something you need. You know what I'm saying? You may not know it's something you need, but I know it's something you need, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I think putting people first before you put your own selfish gain, that's how it all unfolded. Wow. And it's like every year, just you turn up every year, even more. Man. But I think it's just, and most of my business now comes from referrals or social media. Pretty much all my business is from referrals and social media.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, all of it.
Wow.
Laid a lot on you. Later.
So much to unpackage with that. That's amazing. And as you was talking, I was just getting chills because I'm literally sitting here thinking to myself, like, this is bigger than real estate.
Oh yeah,
it's bigger than real estate, and you are bigger than just real estate. You know, obviously God is using you through the real estate platform, but. Yeah. You as Magan Battle, you're bigger. Like, I feel like anywhere he take you, you can be used as a vessel.
Yes.
But it's amazing that in this space where real estate is where our people need to be tapped into.
Right.
It's just like two and two together. It's amazing how it's all unfolding for you. So I think that's beautiful.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know. I want to ask this question before we dive into some more technical stuff. But what was your experience with real estate and houses before you dived into the industry? Like, was you knowledgeable about real estate? Like, did you know anything? You say you come from from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Like, what was your knowledge in this area?
Zilch.
Okay.
Nada.
Okay.
None. I mean, my dad, his house, I mean, he had a house, but it was my grandparents' house. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like in a lot of our communities, it's like we do have houses, right? We have homes, but sometimes it's the family house.
Right.
Sometimes it's, you know what I'm saying, just the house. It's not, you haven't witnessed the process. You haven't witnessed somebody go through, like, my aunt had a house, like, you know, aunties had houses, you know, but my mother never owned a house, you know what I mean, of her own. And so a majority of my life was spent living with her, you know, and we went back and forth, but, you know, she didn't own a house. So I didn't know anything about the process or how it goes. I never thought it was unobtainable though, right? Because I did see it around me. I saw, you know, especially with my folks in the country, like they had homes. Yeah. But so I didn't think it was unobtainable, but I didn't witness any investors around me. I didn't witness anybody buy houses around me. It was just houses that was already there.
Gotcha.
From the time I woke up.
Gotcha.
You know?
At what point in your journey did you realize that real estate is important to get into? Like, at what point in your journey did you realize that?
You know, that's really hard to say because I felt like once I got in it and I saw the impact it was making in people's life, right? Just in watching like them not have to spend money to get into it, right? Having the misconception like I gotta have all this money saved to buy a house, right? And then getting them in and it's like, no, you actually gotta check that.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Hold up. Now, I know you ain't listening to this podcast and your credit is jacked up. Nah. The goal here is being black and abundant, not black and limited, because we both know that there's only so much you can do with a jacked up credit score, right? I know you're tired of getting denied. So what I need you to do is head over to start.cie_capital.com and book a free credit consultation with us right now. And let us come up with a game plan to get your credit right. I do not care what's on your credit. It can be collections, bankruptcies, charge-offs, late payments, you name it. We'll get you right. So once again, that's start.cie_capital.com. All right. I'm looking forward to talking to you soon. Now let's get back to the episode.
So you have your traditional, regular, everyday loans, you know, and then you have what's called portfolio loans. Portfolio loans are loans that are specifically at those particular banks. You can't just go to your everyday credit union or whatever and get some of these programs. Now, some credit unions have portfolio loans too, but they're bank specific. So if you're not aware of the program, you ain't gonna know about it. You get what I'm saying? Like I've met agents that've been in the business 20 years. They don't know nothing about it. But that comes with being open, right, to learning more. If you're seeking it, you're going to find it.
Right.
If you ain't looking for it, you ain't.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. So these programs, most of them are set up to where you only have to spend, first, let's start to talk about the requirements first. So first of all, most of them are set up to where you only have to have a 620 to 640 credit score.
Okay.
First of all, some of them even go as low as a 600 credit score wise. Keep in mind, and you already know on a credit tip, that's not too hard to obtain.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not too hard to obtain. So that's number one. But in addition to that, some of them are set up to where you can't make over $58,000 a year. Your average, person, especially in Birmingham, the average income yearly is really about $42,000, really and truly. So 58 below, that's a lot of people.
Right.
That's a lot of people. So you got a lot of people that could really qualify for that, right? Some of them are set up to where you just got to buy in Jefferson County. Some of them are set up to where it just has to be at least 50% minority in the area. It just depends on the program, right? But most of the time, if you got a 620 score or 640 score and you make under $58,000 a year, you can qualify without paying a down payment, period. Especially if you buy it in Jefferson County. You definitely gonna qualify. And on top of that, when you buy a house, you also have closing costs, right? You gotta pay fees. You gotta pay the bank. You ain't gotta pay me. When you buy a house, you gotta pay me. But you do gotta pay fees. You gotta pay the attorney. You gotta pay the lender. You gotta pay all these people, right? But some of these programs have grant money where they pay those fees for you. Mm-hmm. So where you would have had to pay that $5,000-$6,000 out of pocket, they may give you $5,000 to $7,000 just because.
Wow.
Just because you meet the requirements on top of 100% financing, which is no down payment.
Wow.
So if I don't have a down payment, I don't have closing costs, I'm only left with inspections. Mm-hmm. So I may spend $1,000 for my earnest money, right? But that earnest money is applied to your down payment and your closing costs. But we just said you don't have that, right? So you're going to get that money back. You're going to pay it, you're going to get it back closing, right? But outside of that, you're going to pay about $350 for a home inspection. This for your benefit, though, because you don't want to limit, right? So you're going to pay about $350 for your home inspection. You're going to pay about $500 for your appraisal. And you're going to pay, maybe another $500, $300 to $500 on any other inspections that you might need. Septic, sewer, termite, things like that, right? So we're talking about maybe $1,500 when it's all said and done, right? If you get your earnest money back, right? We're talking about spending $1,500. However, but keep in mind, I said they're going to give you $5,000 to $7,000, right? What if you only need $5,000? What if you only need $5,000 for your closing costs? But they gave you $7,000. You spent $1,500. So what? You made $500 buying a house. You've made $500. And that's on the low end. I've had clients get back $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 back in hand at closing.
Money that they get to keep themselves.
That they get to keep. Keep in mind also, when you get into an apartment, they prorate your rent, right?
Right.
So you get into your apartment. Okay, you moving in on the 15th, you're going to pay half. We're going to prorate this. It's due right now. Okay, on top of your deposit, right? But when you buy a house, let's just say you close in March. You don't pay in March. You got a check back in March, right?
Yep.
Remember? So you got your check in March. You didn't pay nothing on your mortgage in March. You don't pay anything in April. You don't pay until May. And it's not late until the 15th.
Oh.
So if I just made $500 and I got a whole month free and some change, even if I did have to spend a little bit, I got a whole month free. You get what I'm saying? And so when I started seeing that, I when I first started, I was 21. So a lot of my peers were broke like me, you know what I'm saying? None of us had money, right?
Right.
But there were so many people who were like, man, I score good. I just ain't got the money for a down payment. I'm like, so many people don't have the money for a down payment. So many people don't have it. But if you saving, right? If you got bills, but you barely making ends meet, right? It's like, I got enough to save a little bit, but I ain't got a ton. Then if life hits you, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much can you really save, right? But I'm like, if everybody got the same problem, surely it's got to be a solution out there somewhere.
Gotta be a solution.
Everybody got the same problem. And I was like, if I could fix this, everybody could buy a house. Wow. Everybody.
So would you say that is how you was able to really just find your niche? Is that like what, that's like your focus and you...
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's about finding, I saw a need and I was like, let me fill that. Because I know too many people that need that.
Yeah.
I know too many people this could help. And once you see a gem like that, that's hard to unsee. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to unsee something like that. That is something that is unconventional. That is not something that is your normal, that's how people buy houses. This is the perception. That is not the perception that people have when they think about buying houses at all. They think, I got to put 20% down. I got to have all this money saved. That is the perception and the misconception that is out there. And so for me, I'm like, that's not real. I done seen this, and I've seen it too many times to count. I can't even keep up anymore. Wow. Checks everywhere for everybody. Like, I can't even keep up with how many people done got back checks. And honestly, it's just favorite, really and truly, because some of these situations, I'm like, I don't even know how we did that. Man. I don't even know how we did that.
Wow. So would you say that we're not moving ahead because we just lack the information?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I just saw Nia that earlier. Like, I think, that's why they say, our people perish from a lack of knowledge. And that's real. Like, there are so many people that come to me and be like, I only got 10,000 saved. You don't even need it. And when I tell them, like, you can keep that. You don't even got to worry about it. They like, what? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. That's what's really happening right now. This is what's really going on. And then on top of that, like, it get deep. Like, it gets deep, but it's opportunity. I think it's just, it's definitely information. People don't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't know what's possible. But you got to also think about this, right? If an agent who's been in the business 20 years don't know, how you think your regular person, how you think they gonna know? They not gonna know. If Susie, who been in the business for 22 years, if she don't know, and she around real estate every day, what make you think your average person is going to know?
Do you think that's intentional though, or like that is, or is it that we just don't do the necessary work to find the information?
Both.
Okay.
Look, both with capital B. I think there is systematic racism.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's been around for decades and centuries. You know what I mean? So obviously that plays a part, right? Because there were times where we could not gain the knowledge at all, right? Even if we wanted to. So I think that goes into so many things being deep rooted in our culture that we don't have control over, but at the same time, I think, again, if you're not seeking the knowledge, you won't know. It's a lot of people that, know the basics, right? Because they seek the knowledge. They looking for it. Oh, I already know. It's some people that come to me like, yeah, Megan, I already found out this. I know I got to have this. I already did that. I'm like, you own it. Do your thing then. Like, I'm proud,
That's good.
And then you got people who don't know anything. And so that's why I say I think it's both. I think there is systems that have been built into our, into the culture that have caused us to not gain the knowledge, right? That's why it's such a blessing for us right now to be in the time that we're in. I honestly feel like there's no excuse. Like, I don't believe in excuses for us, as being young and Black in America. Like, what's your excuse? I feel you. There are things that are going on, right? It's real. Racism is real. A lot of these roadblocks are real. But think about your ancestors. Think about your mom. Think about your grandparents. Right. So what is your excuse?
Right.
What is your excuse? You might have some challenges. Yes. You might have to work a little harder. Yes. But look at your opportunity, though.
Ooh.
Look at what is in front of you. You got the same equal opportunity. Whether you take it or you don't, that's up to you. But you got to go out and go get it. And you can't expect for somebody to drop all the information in your lap. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the other issue. Like, sometimes people expect everything to be given to them. It don't work like that. I'm going to try to give you all that I can. Trust and believe. But if I'm not around, you need to do your own research.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's both. I think there is a lack of information based on systems, right, in the culture that have been, put in our society, right? But at the same time, I think people don't seek the knowledge sometimes. You ain't looking for it, you ain't gonna find it.
True. That's powerful. Man, so many questions I got. I want to
keep them coming. Look.
let's do it. So I want to kind of segue into you teaching more. Let's say there's a lot of people out here who don't own a home.
Yeah.
But obviously home ownership is important.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about, why home ownership is important.
Yes.
And also from a very, let's say, elementary perspective, like teaching a person, how can they own a home? Like, what is the process? What's the steps? What are some things that they need to know to get to home ownership status?
Great question.
Okay. Yes.
So I would say, as far as the value, I would say this. I feel like I realized I feel like I already knew the value that it brought, right? But I felt like I truly gained a new perspective, not only buying my own house, right? Which took forever, by the way. But but not only did I gain new perspective in buying my own, but I gained new perspective over this last year watching clients that I had sold property to before, right? I got them into their house, no money down. It was like a shift. Now it's time for them to sell, right? So we seen it full cycle, right? A lot of those people, I sold their house last year, right? But I also helped them get into it. And I watched them walk away from closing with 6 figures.
Wow.
I'm talking about in 3 years.
Wow.
3 years. So if you spent no money getting into that house, none, you made a check when you bought it. And then 3 years later, you made $126,000. How would you feel? What could you do with that? What can you do with $126,000?
Right.
A lot.
Right.
A lot. You can flip that money 3, 4, 5 times maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? Like, that is when I started truly seeing, or even with my house, right? I bought my house from a cat lady. Okay. She had 8 cats, 5 dogs. All right. 13 animals.
Wow.
Okay. It was a hot mess. But I had vision, right? So I'm like, man, I'll change these floors. I'll rip out this carpet. I'll paint. I'll do these bathrooms, right? And the same principles that I teach and utilize, for my clients, right, to help them, I did it for myself, obviously, right? So I didn't pay a down payment myself, didn't pay my closing costs. I got my commission at closing because I was my own realtor. And then on top of that, I negotiated a $7,000 allowance from the seller to go towards fixing up the house. So I ended up basically taking about $12,000 and putting that money right back into the house. Didn't really touch much of my own money. Like, I probably added maybe like 5 or 6 to it, you know what I'm saying, to do the bathroom and stuff like that. But I ain't spent no other money.
Right.
And within a year, my house was worth $100,000 more than what I bought it for. Wow. Just like that. And I was like, wow.
Wow.
I already knew, right? I knew the power already. But when I saw that and it was personal, I was like, oh my God,
Man.
Everybody can be wealthy. That was my immediate thought. Everybody can be wealthy. Because if you can get the first one and that first one be a good investment and you didn't spend any money to get into it, but it makes you 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 grand in a few years, you got to pay somebody to live anyway. That's the part. You're going to have to pay to lay your head.
Yes.
One place or the other. The difference is, will you pay for something that's going to yield you some money later, or you going to just pay for something that's not going to make you any money ever? That's the difference. So when I started seeing the money that was being made and the money that my clients was getting, I was like, wow, you could be wealthy. Like,
wow,
$126,000 That's insane.
That is insane.
That is insane. I'm talking about from 2018, 2019. Like, what? And it's not just one or two. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talking about several people. So that was what created the value for me. That's how it started. But as far as process, the number one thing you need to do is check your credit. Check your credit. Pull your credit report. Okay? So many people, I cannot tell y'all how many people don't even know what their credit report, what's on their credit report, what their credit score is. So many people. And that's something that we have to change in our community.
Right.
Because credit, I go on now about credit.
Tell me about it. We can go there. I'm trying to keep it straight in there.
It gets deep with credit. Yeah. It gets deep with credit. Because why should I use my money if I could use your credit?
There you go.
Especially if I could use your money, flip your money. But okay,
we call it OPM.
Period.
Yep.
Like why? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Why would I use my money when I could use other people's money?
Yes.
Why would I do that?
Right.
So, and that's the same reason why I feel the way I feel about utilizing these programs, right? It's other people's money.
Yep.
Why would I pay a down payment if I could just take your money and keep my money?
Talk about it.
Especially if my payment going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
If my payment is going to be $100 more, I don't care. Run it.
Run it.
Run me the credit. Run me the grants. Run it all to me. Run that 100% financing right now.
Wow.
So that's the number one thing you need to do. Check your credit. You got to check your credit. You got to know what's on your credit report. And usually I ask that question out the gate, right? Hey, do you know what your credit score is? Do you know what's on your credit report, right? Because I'm only asking that question. I'm not asking that question to be nosy. I'm asking that question because I need to see, do we got work to do or are we good? Mm-hmm. If we got work to do, I'm going to put the boots on. Let's go.
Yeah.
But if we don't have work to do, let's keep going, right? But I don't know how to help you unless I know where we at. And you don't know how to help yourself unless you know where you at too. So we need to see what's on your credit report, right? And I always recommend somebody get your credit monitoring service, right? It can be Identity IQ. It could be my FICO. It could be my free credit score now. Like, it's so many of them out there.
Right.
$25, $35. Like, and if you're not in a place where you can afford $25, $35 a month, you may need to slow down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This may not be the best move for you right now. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Everybody has a season. I've been in seasons like that where I was like, I can't pay no more bills, right? Well, this may not be your season for home ownership, right? But $25, $35 a month, that should be something you're willing to do to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Period. So, see what's up with your credit report. See what's up with your credit score. That's number one. We need you to have a 620 or 640. You can get approved with a 580. However, now is not the time for you to be getting a loan with the 580.
Okay.
Period.
Why so?
The rates are up.
Okay.
Rates is up. And this ain't what you want to do. You need your score as high as you can, right? Really. But this is the benefit about some of those programs too, right? If you meet the requirements, let's just say the requirement is 640. Everybody get the same rate, whether you got a 640 or a 780. So a lot of times people are like, dang, I only got a 640. If you go utilize this program I'm talking about, you straight. It doesn't even matter. You're good either way. Right? Okay. So that's good to know. So you want to aim for a 620, 640 because that's going to allow you to be able to see, okay, what all can I qualify for? Because we want to be able to see all the free money.
Gotcha.
You know, we want to be able to see who has what.
Right.
What can we utilize? Who got what that's outside the norm? How much free money can we get? Right.
Hold that thought if you don't mind. I was actually curious about that. Is there a difference between having a 620, 640 compared to 720 and above, like in regards to like the interest rates and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely, but not when it comes to this program. To some of these first-time buyer programs.
So it's the programs you need to be aware of. That's why it doesn't really matter. Okay.
Yes, because now, and you're going to have options, right? Some people won't qualify for the program, right?
Okay.
Some people going to make so much money. Some people, just won't qualify, right? If you don't qualify for the program and you have to pay a down payment, then you are going to want your score to be as high as possible.
Got you.
Right. But if you're looking to get one of these programs, and you can qualify for it, then it doesn't matter if you got a 640 or a 720 because you're going to get the same rate as the person with a 720.
That's important to know.
Yeah. Because everybody gets the same rate across the board. If the rate for the program is at 6, everybody gets 6.
Gotcha.
If you got a 720, 850, 6. You got a 640, 6.
Okay.
But if you're having to pay a down payment, then that's when you're going to want your score to be as high as you can, because that's when it's going to be a factor.
So when you don't qualify for the program, that's when you got to pay that down payment. That's when your credit really truly plays a role.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
All right. Continue your thought.
Yes. So that's the start. Credit is the biggest beginning. Get that in order first, right? And sometimes people get so discouraged just from the credit piece, right? They like, oh man, I ain't where I want to be. Like, credit is not permanent. You know what I'm saying? There's so much that you can do, and you know that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's so much you can do to fix your credit. And people don't really understand that, sometimes. So I want to make sure that I encourage anybody who's listening, like, make sure that you understand credit is not permanent. And it's so many ways around that thing right there. Okay. So.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? That gotta drop that out there for sure. Okay.
She ain't lying.
Finessing is able. Right?
Ultimately. Yeah. Yes. Listen, y'all.
The finesse is possible.
For sure.
So that's number one. Credit ain't permanent. All right.
Okay.
So we can fix that. Right. So that's number one. I don't want anybody to feel like, man, my credit ain't. We can fix that. We can work on that. Right. So that's number one. But we want to get you to a 620, 640. But one thing that makes a huge difference with your credit score, and you know this too, is your credit utilization. Credit cards, y'all. Credit cards can help you or they can hinder you.
Yep.
And I'm talking about, you could literally, your utilization can go from 30 to 31%, and your score could dramatically change.
Talk about it.
Just from that 1%. I had a client, I said, look, you gotta, the general rule is 30%. You got a $300 credit card, you need to keep your balance at $100. Meaning, hey, I got a credit card. I got up to $300 to spend on this card. Don't you spend $300.
You're right.
Spend $100.
Right.
Spend $100. And when we say, balance, we need that balance to be the balance that the credit bureau reports. We need them to say, okay, she has $300 to spend. She's only spending $100. Because what that does is it shows them, hey, they got access to this money, but they're not spending it.
Right.
And that's going to help your credit score. But the moment you get to spending a little bit over that, it's going to hurt your score. So make sure that you're also paying your credit cards down, or get somebody to add you on as an authorized user. Get somebody. And when I say authorized user, for people that don't know, when we add you on when you have someone to add you on as an authorized user, let's just say you got a grandparent, you got a mom, a dad, auntie, cousin, sister, brother, right? They got A1 credit. They're willing to do anything to help you succeed. Okay. They want you to get your house. I'm going to go to my auntie and say, auntie, I really need your help.
Right.
I'm trying to get this house, and I got to make sure my credit is in the best possible place. Is there any way at all you can add me onto one of your credit cards as an authorized user? Look, I don't need the card. I will not have access to your card. I'm not going to do nothing with your account. It's just allowing me to piggyback off your credit. That's all it's allowing me to do, to basically, get to benefit off of your credit. But I don't got access to none of your stuff. Right. I ain't got to have none. I don't have the card. I ain't got to have none of that. Your auntie might say, she love you. She might say, yeah, you sure you ain't got the card? You sure you ain't got that card? Right. But she might do it. Right. And if she does, let's just say auntie got a $20,000 line of credit. Let's say auntie got $10,000 line of credit, right? That shows up on your credit report as well. And that can boost your credit score. Just like that.
That's a gem, y'all. That's a gem.
Quick.
That's a gem.
So if you like, I don't have a credit card. You got an auntie? You got a grandma, dad, mom, sister, brother, cousin. You trust them. They trust you. Let's run it. And if you want me to call them and talk to them, I done did that before. Like, I'll explain it. I'll tell y'all what it is. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll see a few articles and everything. Just know what it is, right? So you feel comfortable for yourself, right? You make the determination. But even if you can't get them to do it, you can also buy trade lines. Like, you can pay for, credit building accounts. Like, there's so many ways to build it. So, but that's number one. Make sure that you are, A, getting your credit in order, but B, keeping your utilization down on your cards. And if you don't have any credit cards, you need to either get a credit builder account or you need to get a credit card.
Gotcha.
Period. Because you need to be able to show. That's another problem within our communities. So many times people pay cash for everything. Like, I had a couple clients. I'm like, bro, you ain't got nothing in your name? Nothing. He's like, no, man, I ain't. All I've been doing is paying cash. I'm like, forever? On everything? You ain't got a Hulu account?
Dang.
Netflix? Nothing. Because a lot of these programs, they want you to have 3 trade lines.
Right.
They could be untraditional. Like, they don't have to be traditional trade lines. Like, and when I say trade lines, that's like your car, your credit card, things like that, right? That shows you've been paying this on time every month. But they'll take non-traditional trade lines like a Hulu account, a Netflix account, car insurance, phone bill. But if you don't got nothing at all, it make it hard then. You get what I'm saying? So make sure that you're also building up those accounts, right? If you don't already have them, start building up those accounts.
Gotcha.
But you don't have to have those to qualify, right? But it helps you because it allows you to qualify for these programs, for sure. The next thing you want to do is, I would personally say, I would save $2,500 just to be on the safe side. You know what I'm saying? Because you may not have to spend it, right? But you still got to pay some earnest money up front, right? That's going to be your security deposit, essentially. You probably going to get it back.
Yeah.
You might get it back. But you got to pay it up front.
What is earnest money?
Earnest money is like a security deposit.
Security deposit.
It's basically like showing that seller, hey, I'm serious about buying your house. And it doesn't go into their pocket. It gets held in an account before you close at either my brokerage or the other brokerage or the attorney's office, but they hold it and they basically apply that money towards your down payment or your closing costs at closing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But that's why I say, if you don't have a down payment, you don't have closing costs, you can get that money right back because there's nothing for it to be applied to.
Gotcha.
You already got the money anyway there.
Yeah.
So, all right, y'all don't need this no more. I'm gonna just get this back.
Give my money back.
Right, let me get that back. Right.
All right.
So, but because you got to pay it up front, right? You want to have that $1,000 put, and that's a negotiable thing. It could be as low as $250 or $500, right? But 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be about $1,000. I would prepare for about $1,000 with that. That's about, that's customary, essentially, especially for this market right now. And then, like I said, you're still going to have some inspections that you need to pay for, stuff like that, right? Just to make sure that the house is not about to break down on you, right? So I would save about $2,500 just to put me in the best possible place. If you ain't got to spend it, great, but at least you got it, right? Right. So you got your credit together, boom. You've made sure you paid your cards down. You got that together, boom. You saved up your $2,500. All you got to do after that is call me.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Okay.
You call me. We connect you with the lender, right? Because we want to make sure that we connect you with the lender that's going to be able to get you approved with some of these programs, right? Boom. We connect you with the lender. We get you qualified. Once we get you qualified, we start shopping. Start shopping. You find a house. You say, ooh, you know what? This is it. We say, all right, let's do it. We write the contract. That's when you pay your earnest money, right? Once they accept, pay your earnest money deposit. We do all the inspections to make sure the house ain't gonna fall apart.
Right.
The bank do their side. Make sure they do their little back end work. They may ask you for some documents. I need this. I need that. They're gonna make sure they do a title search. Make sure there's no liens or anything like that. Close. Do your walkthrough, close, and that's it. It's really simple.
Wow.
It's simple.
Well, this is the first time that I've actually heard the buying process, like from front to end like that. But it's really simple.
It's simple.
But would you say that I guess the part of the process where a lot of people get hung up is the credit piece? Or
absolutely.
Is that the big problem?
Oh, yeah. Many.
Gotcha.
That is consistent. A lot of people is that in mindset. That in mindset.
Okay. What about
some people count themselves out before they even get started. I have people who are like, I know I can't buy a house right now. They immediately say, you got any houses to rent? I'm like, no. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. And I really don't have access to many houses for rent, for real.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really don't. And I'm like, but what's making you go that route though? Well, I just didn't think I could do it. I mean,
Wow.
Yeah. Out the gate, before even asking about buying, they automatically assume they won't qualify. Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, that is.
And that is deep rooted though. It's deep rooted. Okay.
Talk about that. What you thinking? What that is?
Deep. It's a mindset. It's cultural. It's the things that our people have already endured. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you've been beat constantly into the mindset of you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. And then when you tried to do it, it was so many limitations around you, right? Real limitations at that time, right? Real limitations that would not allow you to buy a house. Redlining and you know what I'm saying? Okay, we're not going to loan out to, we're not going to loan to anybody in this particular area, right? Real limitations, right? That's been deep rooted into your grandparents, then your mama, then you.
Yeah.
But you don't even realize them limitations ain't even there no more. They ain't even there. You think they there. You don't even realize that you're being affected from the past, right? Because it's so deep rooted. But you are. Wow. Because you haven't even tried. But you got that limiting belief, right? Thinking that something still exists that ain't even here no more. It's not even here. But I don't blame you at the same time, right? Because everybody's not fortunate to be able to break out of that, right? Because you got to break out of that, right? But at the end of the day, it's truth to it. I can see it. I can see why you may feel how you feel, right? Because if you think about it, I mean, we just had, 1960s is, when, you know what I'm saying? It was dogs being put us, and that wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't too long ago.
You get what I'm saying? That's in our grandparents' lifetime.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think my mom was just born at that time. Like, so it's not, it's generations that are still here in our families, in our household. So it's not so far removed, and that's just being real, no knock to, anybody,
it's
but
the truth.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
It is the truth. So it's like, if this has happened to us as a culture and as a people, you just don't realize that, okay, but we out of there though.
Yeah.
It's almost like putting people in a box, right? And you build up all these walls, on all sides, right? And then, every generation has been born in that box. Every generation been born in the box, right? But eventually, them walls get moved, right? But y'all still positioned in the same place because you don't even realize it's already, them walls is even gone. Yeah. Because that's all you know.
It's all you know. That reminds me of that analogy. That's such a great analogy. It reminds me of, you ever heard like the elephant that's born with attached to like a string to like a pole or something, a stake in the ground, and he's trained, raised that way.
Wow.
And up to the point it's a full grown out elephant. And an elephant weighs ton. They can easily just break away, but because they've been raised on that chain, whatever, they don't even think to like. Yeah. So it's kind of
transition is the same.
So it's a it's like inbred in us.
Yeah, it's inbred, and you don't even, like I said, it's a mindset thing. That's why I say the mindset and the credit, but mindset. But even that is mindset. Because if your mindset was right, you would be like, shoot, I can fix that. Yeah. You would know that. You know what I'm saying? I can get past that.
So what would you say is the solution to helping our people?
This.
And as I said that, I was like, we're doing the work.
Yeah.
Because we see the problem.
Yeah.
Like we've been blessed to tout our break away from that mentality.
Yes.
So I feel like it's our duty and responsibility
Absolutely.
to be doing this. It's a disservice to ourselves, our family, but
and
to
our people.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Wow.
Like it is a huge disservice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I was so honored just to come, because I was like, man, I am excited because I knew it would be like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, this is something that we need as a people. This is what we need. We need more people like y'all doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Us coming together, giving out the gems, like not being stingy with the gems. Like I tell everybody all the time, you can ask me anything. I will tell you.
Right.
I am an open book. I don't care. Like it does not stop me in any capacity. I want you to win. I want you to succeed. I don't care if you use me, you use my homegirl as a realtor. I really don't care. Like I just want to see as a people, because what happens when everybody understand?
Man.
What happens then?
Ooh.
What if everybody gets it?
Yeah.
What if everybody buys one house? What if everybody just get one? But that one make you 80 in a few years.
Yep.
What happens then? Everybody got 80,000. Then what?
Man.
What can everybody do then? What if everybody has 80, but everybody on one accord? What could we do then? What kind of what type of moves could be made?
Right.
What type of neighborhoods could be built? What type of investments? You know?
Man.
That's why I'm like, short-term greed, long-term wealth. Right? I would rather put people on all day. I would absolutely rather put people on and give out all the gems. And I don't care if they use me, anybody else. I don't care. I would just rather see them move forward. I'd rather see them excel and be like, yes, I'm so happy you did that. Because later, the future, you know, the impact, right? Our children will have to come up someday in these same communities. And I don't care what nobody say. People get it twisted and think that the love of money is the root of all evil. Oh, I'm sorry. They say that money is the root of all evil, but it's not. It is the love.
Gotcha.
It is the love of money that is the root of all evil. Money can make a lot of things shake.
Talk about it.
Period.
Yes.
I don't care what nobody say. That's factual. Yep. Money can send your kids to school. Money can take care of your grandma when she's sick.
Right.
Money can put your mother in a home when she needs it. Money can make sure that we have the resources in our community that we need.
Exactly.
And the job opportunities and the after school programs. Money do that.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Not nothing else.
Wow.
Period. It's when you put it over everything else. That's where the problem come in. Not money, the love.
There you go.
The love.
Man, that's so powerful. And you keep asking the question, like, what could we do if we all just bought one house, we had the money? And when I'm just sitting here and thinking, like, if our people could just get on one accord. And y'all, listen, she's telling you, you can leverage.
Yes.
Not your money, but other people's money. You don't have to put no money down.
Period.
You know, if you qualify, no money down.
Yes.
Make an investment to this house.
Yes.
And then 2 to 3 years down the road, you can sell the house and actually profit. And then with that extra money, you know, the question is, okay, what do I do with this money now?
What do I do with it?
So I would suggest, and I would love you to, talk about what you recommend that they actually do with that money. That is a great starting place for you to create wealth for you and your family, would you say?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. The thing is, like, it's all 100% return, right? You ain't spent nothing to get into it. It's 100% return. If that's me, I'm taking that 80. I might combine that with some credit cards. I might get me a little property, put it on Airbnb, or you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make that money, make me some more money. Or I might get me a drop shipping store. I might, You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to figure out what is the safest way for me to make sure I can get a return on my investment. I might give me a little Honda and put it on Toro or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, good $15,000 car, put it on, you know. Yep. I made 80. I can't put 15 on that. And then what if I just set that 15 to the side, right? But what if I got a 0% interest, credit card?
Right.
Like, it's so many
plays.
You know what I'm saying? It gets deep.
It does.
It gets deep. So it's just like I just wish to see the one accord.
Yeah.
I wish to see the one accord. And it's gonna take time. You know what I'm saying? But in what we're doing, right?
Right.
We bringing that one accord.
And we're doing the work to get to a place where we are seeing, that's the vision. Like, we would want to see our people get on one accord. But as you was talking, I was thinking about how it's going to take for us to get to a place where we see the value. And we talked about this, the value in collaborating, not competing and not hating on each other. But hey, that the play is we can be in the same competitive space, but help each other. And we talked about that. So
because it's like, what happens then if you got this part of it and I got that part of it? What happens if you got 3 0% interest credit cards? I got 3 0% interest credit cards. We got a little cash over here. You got a little cash over there. What then? Mm-hmm. What if we can put a little bit of this cash in this credit and we can make something to make us even more money? We pay the credit off. Then what?
Yep.
It is breaking free from that mentality. I think when you live in abundance, right? And you realize, like, I'm going to have everything I want. God going to give me everything I want. Every time. I tell people that all the time. I be like, you want me to pray for you? Because God give me everything I want. Every time. I could pray for a lot of times I be praying over my clients. They don't even know that I'm praying over them. Like, I'll be praying over something for them. They're like, I just got to get a raise on my job, man. In order for me to get what I want, I really got to get a raise. I don't know how I'm finna do this. I'd be like, Lord, on my knees for them, right? Next thing you know, they like, Megan, you won't believe I got da-da-da. They don't even know. You know what I'm saying? They don't even have a clue.
Wow.
And I'll just be like, wow, look at God, me and God.
It's amazing how, and I feel like everybody starts off in this way. What I'm talking about is we dive into these endeavors on the front end, money motivated. Because we come from survival backgrounds, it's just the reality of our lives. Yeah. But through that process, once you realize that it's bigger than that. Yeah. And once you realize that it's actually deeper than the money, and then you start tapping into like real purpose and like you're used as a vessel. I would say like that's when you really can start to kind of just free yourself from like the programming and the traumas, and it's like, man, like,
I know I'm covered now.
Right.
Because I'm in purpose.
There you go.
That's the part. That be me. Like I said, I was money motivated getting into real estate. I just knew like, I'm just here to flip. Right. That's what I'm here to do, right? It wasn't until God used me. That's when I knew. I didn't know from the jump. Sometimes people ask me like, how I find my purpose. I'm like, you got to ask God to help you. Yeah. You got to ask God to lead you to it. Because I don't even know how all this transpired. You know what I'm saying? I look back now and be like, wow, that's nothing but God. This whole thing, this ain't even me. This really the Lord just pulling the strings. I'm just here. Right. I'm just moving along with the program, but I'm not doing this. This ain't me. This Lord using me. This is not nothing. Not to say that I'm not working, but this is God. This ain't that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This ain't by my will. This ain't by my power. You know what I'm saying? This is all God. And it's only because I'm in purpose. That's the only reason why he blessing me the way he doing. That's the only reason why he's leading me, because I am in purpose. And when you in purpose, you gonna be covered. You good. You don't got to worry about how you gonna eat, how you gonna sleep, what you gonna do, how you gonna, as long as you're being obedient, you don't even got to trip. Right. You don't even have nothing to worry about. Wow. You're being obedient to the calling. He told you to do this. Just do it. Yeah. Just do it. And when you do that, you covered now. Wow. You ain't got nothing to trip about. You might as well just sit back. I ain't going to say it's going to all be easy, because the journey isn't always all good, right? So I love, like I say, the book, The Alchemist, because it talks about that. You know, what doesn't talk about that? It's a story, but it's about that.
Right.
It's about the journey. It ain't gonna all be good.
And speaking of the journey, let's talk about that. I want you to share some mindset, some game, you know, talk about your work ethic when it comes to the journey, because we see the Magan Battle that's in the top 5 in your brokerage, right?
Yeah.
They see that, but they don't see the process. They don't see the nights where it's like it's hard out here. So like, just talk about like what did it take to get there?
Yeah. So honestly, like I say, you know, when you're starting out in anything as an entrepreneur, you gotta grind. Period. If you're expecting to start any business and not put in any real work, you do not need to be an entrepreneur. It's that simple. Like, everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur. And it took me some time to realize that, honestly, because I was like, everybody should be an entrepreneur. Why are you working your job? Quit your job. Why, you know? But everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur. And that's not a bad thing, right? It's not a knock, right? Everybody's different. And that may be your purpose, to not be an entrepreneur, right? Your purpose might be to work this so that you can do this and be great in it. Like, that might be you, right? But as an entrepreneur, you got to put that work in.
Talk about
You got to put that grind in. You going to have to hustle. It's going to be early mornings, late nights, all the time.
Yeah.
Especially when you first get started. If you're expecting, like I say, to be like, I'm finna start this business. Yeah. What you doing to get started? How often you gonna work on it? On the weekend. On the weekend? Huh?
Yeah.
You gonna have to work on this before you go to work. You have to work on this when you get off of work. Like, when I started in real estate, I was working my job full time still. So I would go to work I would go to the office from 7 to 2 in the morning. So I'd be up early, right? Be at the office by 7 a.m. in the office. Keep in mind, I wasn't living too far in. So I was probably up about like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, right? But be at the office at 7. 7 to 2 at the office. I would go to Proctor U. I was working for Proctor U at the time. If anybody know what Proctor U is, Lord Jesus. That call center is worse than slavery.
Wow.
It's worse than slavery. But no knock to them either. But never go back.
Hey.
I don't never want to go back over there. But so Proctor U is like a call center, but it's for exams, like different institutions. We monitor online exams for different institutions, stuff like that. But I was an advocate for them. So like if anything went wrong with their exam, I was having to resolve their problem, which I really didn't realize God was really preparing me, right, for this and that, because so much of the skills that I learned in that I use for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I use my problem solving skills now. I use my communication skills now. I use my multitasking skills now.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize. I hated that job, though. You know, I hated it. Like, hated it. Because it was so stressful. It was nonstop. Like, you know what I'm saying? All the time. I got, we was always understaffed. I was overwhelmed. But I would go from the office, and I would go 7 to 2 at the office, 3 to 11 there.
Ooh.
Every day. And on the days that I was off, like if it was a Sunday, I was on the phone all day, just trying to build up my business, right? I'm like, this is the only off day I got. I'm finna build up my business. That's why I value my Sunday so much now. Because I'm like, man, I done paid my dues. Y'all get my Sunday. I don't work Sundays. I work every day. You know what I'm saying? And not had a break. But when you're starting out, you got to. You got to grind. You got to hustle. And I remember being about 6 months in, and I was so exhausted. I had been doing that so much, and I was like, Lord, I can't do both. I was like, I gotta get this up. I can't stay at this job and do this.
Right.
I know you want me to do this. I'm ready to go. I'm like, if you want me to leave, Send me confirmation it's time for me to go. I remember praying this prayer specifically. I said, Lord, if you want me to get out of my job, show me. Make it clear. Send me confirmation. And that day, I was at the office, and I had typed my 2-week notice up and everything, but I hadn't sent it, right? I was like, I'm waiting on my confirmation from the Lord, but it's sitting here ready. And that day, I got a verse of the day on my phone, and it was like, be strong and courageous, for God is with you wherever you go. From Joshua, right? And I was like, that's a little vague. I was like, I need another one.
Yeah.
I was like, what more, Lord? My job? I'm like, security?
Yeah.
I'm like, my job though? Oh no. So I said, okay, God, one more. Just one more. And the next day, that morning, I was at the office, got another one. And it said, God will never ask you to give something up if he doesn't have greater in store. Greater is coming. After that, bro, like, I can't deny it. I cannot deny it. So I put my 2-week notice in. And at that point in time, I had just closed one deal and I had paid all my bills for the month. I was like, I had 2 pennies in my account. I paid my bills. I'm like, shoot, my bills paid. I'm going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm straight. Payday was like next week. I'm like, I'm going to be all right. I had 2 deals that was about to close too. I said, they about to close. Week away from closing. 1 week away. Do you know I put that 2-week notice in and both deals fell apart? Immediately.
Ooh, wow.
Immediately. As soon as I put them in. And I was like, what? Lord, you gonna punch me in the gut like that? I'm like, are you serious?
Wow.
Because I ain't no way you can't tell me that God didn't tell me to do that, right? From that.
Yeah.
And to have that happen right after, I was devastated. I was like, how can you lead me out here like this, Lord?
Yeah.
How you gonna lead me into this? You leading me into the slaughterhouse. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
What you do? I was like, I couldn't understand it. It made no sense to me. And the reasons were even worse. One client maxed his credit cards out right before closing. Yep. Maxed them out. They pulled his credit one more time. Maxed them out. The other one, he went with this lender that had a bad reputation at the time. I told him, I said, they got a terrible reputation all throughout the office, all throughout the industry. Like, don't do it. He said, she's so nice. Okay. She's nice. Okay, she's nice. All right. That's cool. All right. So he decided, you know what I'm saying, he's going to still stick with her. Keep in mind, when you're a vet, they pull a certificate of eligibility. Okay? They do that as step 1 to make sure that you meet all of the qualifications to get a VA loan. Why are we a week away from closing? This lady ain't never pulled a certificate of eligibility. And she come back and say, he's not qualified for the VA loan. What? And I'm calling you. You're not answering. I'm on vacation right now, Megan. I was on my way to her office. I was pulling up. I was like, she ain't answered the phone. I'm finna pull up over there. I'm finna pull up over there. Dang. Literally. I was literally on my way to the office and she called me back. Because I was like, oh, you ain't finna be playing with me like that.
Right.
I told y'all, I am from the west side. I was like, you got me messed up. I'm finna pull up.
Hey,
I'm safe, but don't be playing with me or my clients because I'm going to pull up. So I pulled up while I was on my way to pull up. And I still was in the parking lot because I was like, let me see if she lying. But I was talking to her. And she was like, I'm out of town on vacation. But anyway, had my client came in. We looked at all the VA requirements. He met everyone. Met all the requirements. Nothing made sense to me. So I'm sitting here just baffled at the whole thing because I'm just like, why in the world would God put me in this situation? And he know I'm broke. Yeah. Like, he know this. He know I just left my job. And I had, one of my friends was like, come to church with me on Sunday. One of my friends invited me to their church. I said, all right, okay. So I go to their church. And I remember going to their church and the first lady came out and she was like, everything that you're going through right now is a test. Everything that you're going through right now is happening for a reason. So I'm already like boohoo crying, right? Bawling in tears, right? Because I'm like, she talking to me. She talking to me. Then the pastor comes out and he say, you know, he reiterates the same thing, right? Everything that you're going through right now is only a test. He said, there are going to be some things in life that happen to you that won't make any sense. I'm like, amen.
Wow.
Amen. You're right. Because I felt that, right? Because I'm thinking about my whole week, like, man, it's the same thing, you know? And he said, what you have to understand is there's a difference between praying to God and crying out to God. He said, when we pray to God, it's a dialogue. It's a conversation. He said, but when we cry out to God, it's because you have no choice. You have so much on you that you got to give it to God. And he said, how many of you could be out of your situation if you cried out to God about it? That's what he said. And I said, I'm going to go home and cry about this tonight. Like, I'm getting on my knees. Like, I'm asking God, give me understanding because I don't get it.
Right.
You know, and he talked about, like, you know, being refined in the fire and, you know, going through, right, to come out better. So got home that night, got on my knees, asking God to show me, like, what is going on? Like, hey, lead me, fix this situation, right? Because I don't know what to do. At this point, I'm jobless.
Right.
I done left, you know what I'm saying, my job. I got 2 pennies in my account. I don't know what I'm finna do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Both deals done fell apart. I don't know what I'm finna do at all. Do you know, I had talked to several lenders that previous week, and they said that my client who makes his credit cards out, he was like, yeah, they was like, it's going to take about 3 to 6 months to fix his score. Everybody was like, it's going to take about 3 to 6 months. I'm new at this one. I don't know much about credit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, 3 to 6 months? I'm like, well, I got a couple weeks.
Right.
I got a couple weeks for y'all. And so after that, it was probably about Tuesday or Wednesday. My client who makes his cars out, he called me. He say, I got that worked out with my score, Megan. Called a lender and tell them to rerun it. My score went way, way up. Huh? What? Keep in mind, this is right after I done prayed about it. Not prayed about it, cried out about it. Right? And I was so amazed. I was so amazed in that moment. I think that's probably such a pivotal moment in my faith because when I seen that, and I'm talking about we was able to get this man approved all over again. Literally.
Wow.
But he over that weekend, he had re-signed his lease with his landlord thinking that he wasn't going to be able to get the house no more. So all the while I'm pacing the floor trying to see whether or not, you know, they're going to approve him or not. I'm like, God, if you work it out, I'm cool. If you don't, I'm cool. Right. Because I was so amazed at what had already transpired. Just even the option of us being back here.
Right.
Like how we even get back here in a few days.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when I seen that, I was so amazed. And it was almost like God was telling me, if I open up this door, I can open up this door for you. I can open it. I'm in control. See?
Right.
But if I don't open it up for you, are you still going to trust me? Are you still going to trust me? Even if I don't give you what you want.
Wow.
Are you still going to trust me? Because there ain't no safety nets in faith.
Ooh.
None. And that's what God showed me in that moment. Like, there is no safety net. It ain't none of that.
Yeah.
You have to allow God to be God.
Right.
And if you're going to be in it and you're going to roll with God, got to roll with him full. All the way out. Ain't no, I trust you, God, but I need this little bit over here. You know, and we're human, right? So that's expected at the same time, right? But God showed me in that moment, like, no, you got to be fully dependent on me.
All in.
All in. And literally, I had to take loans out, you know what I'm saying, to make it through. I called my sister like, look, I need $1,000.
Yeah.
So I need $1,000, you know, I need to figure it out. Got me a few little loans, and I pushed through. A couple months later, everything started changing.
Wow.
Everything took off.
That's such an amazing story. Like, wow. And it makes sense, like, just how everything transpired to where, like, he gave you the sign, but he also had to give you the test and say, like, hey, I see what you desire. I see where you're going, but I got to test you. I got to see if you really rocking with me or not.
And God is so much in entrepreneurship. Like, people don't understand that. You know, people think that, I don't know how people view entrepreneurship, but for me, entrepreneurship is God-based. I mean, you're fully trusting that you're going to have everything that you need. There is no guaranteed check coming to you. But when you really sit back in hindsight, it's like, am I really guaranteed on my job either? No. Especially in Alabama, they can fire you with no cause. Like, so are you really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Safe? But that's another conversation. But, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, being able to fully trust God and know that He's going to provide your wants and your needs. And you don't even know when it's going to come sometimes. You don't know how it's going to come, but it come.
Yeah.
That's entrepreneurship to me. Like, you putting your work in and trusting that God gonna tap that thing and say, "Yep, I'm good with that."
That's amazing. That is so amazing, Megan. Thank you.
Absolutely, my friend.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
For coming by, and
I'm so glad y'all invited me.
Yeah,
for real.
For sure.
I enjoyed this so much.
For sure.
I did.
Man, there was an amazing conversation, and I really hope and believe that. Well, I know, but I believe that the people that's listening, they gain so much knowledge and information. But I'm encouraging y'all to apply what you've heard. Don't just be a note taker, but apply the information.
That's the part.
Yeah, for sure. So tell them how they can get in contact with you, or anything you got going on. Like, lay it all out on the table for them.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you guys can reach me on Instagram at Magan Battle the Realtor, and that's MAGAN. Everybody spells my name wrong, all right? But but it's all A's, okay? Yeah. MAGAN, on Facebook as well at under Magan Battle. My link is in my bio, so if you guys want to set up a consultation with me in my bio. As far as upcoming, we got a few things, you know what I'm saying, on the horizon or whatever, you know, we working on some things, but I am trying to put together some events for the summertime. I want to give back to the community, so I'll keep you guys updated on that. That'll be on my social media as well. But but yeah, I'll keep everybody in the loop with that, and I appreciate you guys for inviting me. I truly enjoyed it. Truly.
For sure, of course. Truly. It's a no-brainer, of course. All right, before we peel out of here, a couple of more questions. The first question that we asked our guest, the last question that we asked our guest is about abundance.
Yeah.
So the question is, what does it mean to be abundant to you? What does abundance mean to you?
Yeah, I think abundance is knowing that you will create constant fruit in your life. Like, not having a lack mentality, right? Not worried about what the future holds, but knowing that whatever it holds, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to have everything I want. I'm going to have everything I need. It's going to always come back to me. Knowing that I put good out, I'm going to get good back. It's going to constantly flow back to me. I think it's just knowing, having an assurance in your mind, like, I'm forever good. God love me. I'm going to always win. I'm always win, and I'm always eat.
For sure. I love that.
That's abundance.
That's beautiful. And the last thing is, can you leave our listeners with just a word of wisdom before we leave? Word of wisdom. Let me think about that.
I would say, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. I think sometimes, like I say, as a people, we have a tendency to put limitations on us, right? And it's limitations that may be there in some instances and may not, but you don't know till you try. And so I would challenge everybody to make sure that you don't allow your mind to defeat you before you are actually defeated. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't even been told no yet. Don't tell yourself no first. You should love you. If you love you, tell you yes.
Right.
Let them tell you no. Don't tell you no first. Believe what's possible in your own self first, because this is where it starts. If you truly believe that, there are literally studies that show like people who believe that they're healed with severe illnesses and they healed. You know, there's so much power in what you believe, so much power. And if you believe something negative, that's going to be your reality. You believe the positive, that's your reality. So everything that you think, that's who you're going to be. Everything you think is what you become. So you're going to choose to either keep your thoughts focused on good or bad. And you do that by what you put into your spirit. Are you putting positive energy into your spirit? Are you listening to audible books? Are you listening to podcasts like this that are growing you? And what are you doing to feed your spirit, man? Or is he on life support?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what is he doing? So you got to constantly pour into you. You can't expect nobody else to do it for you, right? You may wake up having a bad day, but what are you going to do about it? Are you going to constantly fill yourself with positive energy, or are you going to dwell in the negative? Are you going to tell yourself no, or are you going to tell yourself yes? So keep your mind focused on those things that are good and, you know, live your best life, period.
Wow. Powerful. Let's go. Can't get no better than that. And with that being said, we out of here. I am Jamal, aka 𝐻𝐶𝐂, the producer, and this is the Black and Abundant podcast. And we will see y'all next time.
Hey.
Peace.